Did you know that research shows that people with avoidant attachment style are more sensitive to criticism than any other attachment style? And here's the irony in all this. From the outside, they often look like the least sensitive person. They are calm, they are collected, independent, they seem in control. But inside, their nervous system is wired to hear criticism as rejection. So even a small comments can trigger them to shut down. So if you've ever tried to express your needs to an avoidant partner and then you felt like it only made things worse, you are not wrong. Because the way you communicate really does matter. Because their nervous system is scanning for danger. And sometimes your words get processed as something completely different that you intended and something dangerous. My name is Luna A. May, and I'm a life and attachment style coach and author of several books on attachment styles, for example, Overcoming Avoidant Attachment and Understanding and Overcoming Anxious Attachment, and also What Attachment Style Are You? And my mission here is to help you understand your emotional patterns and build secure, loving relationships that you truly deserve. And in today's video, we're going to talk about something that so many of my clients struggle with. And it means, how do you actually communicate with a dismissive, avoidant partner without pushing them away? So first things first, avoidants aren't immune to love. They care deeply, but their nervous system is wired to protect them from what feels to them like too much emotional intensity. And when we don't understand that, we can end up in painful cycles of chasing, of withdrawing, or misunderstanding each other. So let's start with why it feels so hard in the first place. Avoidants often grew up in environments where emotional expression wasn't safe. It was criticized, or it was simply not responded to. So maybe their parents were critical of them. Maybe they were emotionally neglected, or maybe the child learned early on that it was safer to retreat and to be independent and to depend only on themselves. And then fast forward to adulthood, and the same nervous system is still operating. So on the surface, the avoidant looks strong and capable of everything. But beneath that exterior, they are very sensitive to any hint of rejection, any hint of criticism or engulfment. So when you say something like, "You never listen to me," what they often hear is, "You failed, you're not enough, you're broken." And instead of leaning in, their system goes into protection mode. So they withdraw, they distance themselves, and they go quiet. And this doesn't mean you can't express your needs, of course, but it does mean the way you communicate those needs matter more than you think. So, what does it actually look like to communicate in a way that reaches an avoidant partner? So, first, it helps to understand that avoidants are easily overwhelmed by intensity. If you come in with panic, with high emotion, or a flood of words, their system interprets that as danger. It doesn't matter if what you are saying is perfectly reasonable, because their nervous system is already shutting down. This is why grounding yourself before you talk is so important. If you come to them regulated, steady, and clear, you create the best chance for them to actually stay present and listen to what you have to say. It also helps to frame your needs in a way that is direct, simple, and constructive. For example, you can say, instead of saying, "You never spend time with me," which feels like a criticism to an avoidant, you might try saying something like, "I'd love to spend some time together this weekend. Could we plan something together?" Because both statements are asking for the same thing, but one of them triggers defensiveness and the other one initiates collaboration. And it's not about being perfect with your words, of course. It's about understanding that what you say gets filtered through their fear of rejection. So, when you strip away blame and express your needs clearly, You make it easier for them to hear what you have to say without shutting down. Now, I want to say something that is really important. None of this means that your feelings don't matter. You absolutely deserve to have your needs expressed and met. But it does mean that when you communicate with an avoidant, you need to remember one thing. Their reactions are not really about you. When they go silent, it's not a proof that you are unlovable. It's just their nervous system trying to manage the overwhelm. When they retreat, it's not because your needs are wrong. It's because closeness has become wired in their body as something dangerous. And the more you personalize it, the more you will end up in protest behaviors. Protest behaviors like, for example, chasing, explaining, or overfunctioning. And that's exactly what makes an avoidant retreat even further. And if you're listening to this and thinking, that's me, I keep trying to say things and somehow it always goes wrong. And I feel like I'm either too much or not enough. This is exactly the work I do in my one-on-one coaching. So together we don't just talk about the attachment theory. What we do is we go into the deeper layers, the nervous system responses and the subconscious belief patterns, the patterns that you keep repeating without even realizing this. And then we start shifting them so you can feel actually calmer and clearer in your head and more secure in the way you communicate. So if that feels like the support you need right now, the link to book a session with me is in the description box below. But let's bring it all to real life now. Imagine you are waiting for your partner to text you back, and hours go by and you feel the anxiety rising. By the time you finally hear from them, your impulse is to say, why don't you ever respond to me? You don't care about me. And honestly, who wouldn't feel that way in this situation? But to the avoidant, that sounds like an attack. What they hear here is, you're failing, you're not good enough. And suddenly their walls go up. Now imagine you could take a breath, regulate first, and instead say something like, I felt a little bit disconnected today when I didn't hear from you. Could we check in tonight? That's still honest. You are still naming your need, but now you've created an opening, not a wall for them. This is the difference between communication that drives avoidance deeper and communication that gives them a chance to stay present in the moment and hear you. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean you bend yourself into a pretzel to keep the avoidant comfortable. No, it's not about that. Of course, communication is a two-way street. And if you've expressed your needs calmly and clearly, and over time, they still refuse to engage, this valuable information for you. Because boundaries are just as important as compassion to your partner. You're not there to endlessly regulate yourself while someone else stays unavailable. What you're doing is simply creating the best condition for healthy communication. And then you're just stepping away and watching to see if they meet you halfway. So let's now move to common questions that I get from my clients concerning this topic of communication with an avoidant. So the first question that often comes up is, what if I do all of this? I regulate myself, I communicate calmly, and they still shut down. And my answer to this question is that that's your signal to look at the bigger pattern. You're not doing it wrong. But if nothing changes, then the question becomes, do you feel emotionally safe in this relationship? Because healthy communication requires both people to show up, not just one person. So you have to think about that. Another question is, can avoidance really change? And the answer is yes. Of course, they can change, but not because you word things perfectly or you carry all the weight. They can change if they are willing to do the work. And your role is just to stop repeating the old behaviors and start showing up from a more secure place. From there, you'll see clearly whether they are able to meet you halfway or not. And another common question is, how do I stop overreacting when they pull away? And that's where nervous system regulation comes in. Practices like deep breathing, like grounding, or even simple somatic exercises help you calm your body so you're not trying to grab safety from someone who isn't available in that moment. The calmer you feel in your body, the less likely you are to reach out in panic or attack them in frustration. And I will show you simple exercises that you can repeat daily to calm your nervous system in the long term. So we're going to start with diaphragmatic breathing. So if you have a yoga mat, you can sit on the yoga mat. If you don't have a yoga mat, you can also sit on your bed or on a chair. And we're going to breathe in into our belly. Long inhale for 7 seconds. And then we're going to exhale, starting from contracting our belly. And we're going to exhale for another 7 seconds. And the idea here is to not make any pauses between inhale and exhale, to make the breath as fluid as possible. So let's start. We're going to do a couple of breaths like that. And now we're going to lie on the mat, or you can lie on your bed. A bed is also a very good place to do these somatic exercises, because it's a place where you feel comfortable, where you feel safe. So it's good for calming of the nervous system. So we're going to lie on our side. We're going to extend the right hand. We're going to put the left hand in front, and we're going to have our legs like this in the angle of 90 degrees. And we're going to start rocking our body like this. We do small movements. Don't exaggerate them. They need to be gentle, because our goal is to calm our nervous system. And this kind of bad rocking is very calming for our nervous system. So we're going to continue like this for 30 seconds. So it rests around 20 seconds still. You can even imagine that somebody is pushing you from the back. So you don't really have to do any effort, because somebody is making it for you, the movements. It has to be as effortless as it can be. And now we're gonna gently move our back, and we're gonna slowly move to the other side. So we're gonna just move to the other side like this. I'm just gonna change the side so you can see me better. And we're gonna take the same positions as we did on the other side. And we're gonna start with the same movement for around 30 seconds. You can close your eyes and relax. Enjoy the movement. Now you can just slowly move to your back, straighten your legs, and and relax for a couple of seconds for a couple of inhales and exhales. Okay, so here is the takeaway of today's video. Communicating with a dismissive avoidant isn't about silencing yourself, and it's not about waiting endlessly for them to change. It's about clarity, about timing and boundaries. It's about expressing your needs in a way that they can actually hear while staying true to yourself. And most importantly, it's about remembering that you are not powerless. Every time you regulate first, every time you speak from calm instead of speaking from panic, you're not just giving the relationship its best chance to survive and grow, you're also proving to yourself that your voice matters and you don't need to lose yourself to be heard in this relationship. And if this video resonated with you, make sure to watch my other video on why avoidants fall out of love. Because this video will help you connect the dots between how they love, how they retreat, and how you can show up differently in such relationships. I see you there.